Since early August, we have discussed a different ballot measure every week, right up so we are well informed for Election Day. And we've talked about, of the 7 proposed amendments to our state constitution, we've talked about 4. And as you've probably opened your envelope, you can see there are a lot of measures that we have to have a feeling of what's going on before we can make our decision. David, let's start with you about one of the constitutional amendments.
Sure. So there's currently a Commission on Judicial Discipline. Ballot Measure H, Amendment H, would add to the Constitution so a layer on top of that to supplement it, something called the Judicial Discipline Adjudicated Board. It would be 4 state district judges, 4 attorneys, and 4 lay people appointed by the Supreme Court or the governor and then confirmed by the Senate. But my concern on this is people are saying the Commission on Judicial Performance, which is also appointed by the governor and the Supreme Court, is not doing a good job. So if you have those same people appointing another board, why do you think that they're suddenly going to start appointing better people than they have been before to this commission that is criticized so widely? Also on the ballot are some very important local measures, where particularly in Jefferson County and Arapahoe County, where people are being asked to give up forever their rights under the Taxpayers' Bill of Rights. So for example, under current state law, your property taxes can go up by about 5.25% annually. And Jefferson County and Arapahoe voters are being asked to give up to allow infinite property tax increases forever. And again, that seems to me like an imprudent thing, because even if you say, oh man, our Jefferson County commissioners are so wonderful, you know, shovel as much money at them as you can so they're like Scrooge McDuck, Duck, and can you know, swim in their gold coins. Even if they're that good, well, how do you know who's going to be running the county 10 or 20 years from now? So it seemed better to give for the county commissioners to have asked for temporary spending and extra tax increases rather than permanent waivers.
Back to Amendment H, isn't the idea to make this judicial investigations more transparent for the public to know?
Yes, and the critics of that would say that that's fine and that's a good thing in itself. You know, there's some real judicial investigations about unethical conduct by a judge. A lot of them are just bogus things of, you know, I didn't like the result in my case. Well, if you didn't like the result in your case, that's why we have a court of appeals. So and others are, you know, sovereign citizen, nutty kind of complaints. But there are some real ones, and yes, that H would improve transparency. I'm not sure it's guaranteed to improve decision making.
Okay, Jesse.
RTD debrucing is also on the ballot for those who live in the Denver area, so there will be a few important debrucing questions. Amendment J is another one of the 14 statewide ballot measures. It would remove language in the state constitution that prohibits same-sex marriage. Obviously, that's legal. The U.S. Supreme Court went ahead and ruled on that in the past, but the legislature referred this to the ballot in order to just clean up this language and make sure that even if there is some kind of change in this U.S. Supreme Court, if a new ruling comes down, that same-sex marriage would still be legal in Colorado. And so we're seeing a decent amount of money spent on behalf of that. There's not really any opposition to it. And unlike other constitutional amendments on the ballot this year, this one just needs a simple majority to pass because it's actually stripping language. So it should make it through.
Ian.
Appreciate the civics lesson. Always good to know the nuances about constitutional amendments. You know, this first one that we were talking about, H, with the transparency, I mean, we've seen ethics complaints all the way up to the Supreme Court. I think this is a hot button issue for people. And I'm not even sure that ethics complaints always lead to what you hope comes in the outcome. I've seen plenty at the city council level where it's like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that, but we don't really have much authority to do something about it. Often goes to the ballot box. But I am in favor of more transparent conversations about holding people who held the power to really impact people's lives to be more transparent and to be open to the public. So I'm supportive of that. Of course, G, the property tax exemptions or reductions for vets with disabilities. I mean, I think that's like a no-brainer for people. And, you know, at the end of the day, I just want to say I really can't stress enough how important it is to read your blue book. It is a lot. I haven't read it through. This is probably the latest in the year that I've not read the entire thing. And I do want to point out that in Denver, I had to request a second. You have to request it or go online to get all of the pieces for the ballot issues. So I want to be clear, like if you're in Denver and you pick that up, you know, you don't have to go online to get the pros and the cons on things that aren't related to taxes. And I think that's really important. I want to encourage people to look at RTD, Denver Health, the Denver Public Schools bond.
Yeah, Patty.
To go back to the judges, this is the one I hear the most about when I'm talking on panels. People want to know more about judges. They're very concerned that things are going on behind closed doors, which of course they are. And if you follow David Magoya's unbelievable series about a year or two ago for the Denver Gazette, we saw exactly what kind of shenanigans were going on with the Colorado Supreme Court, with certain contracts being given to disgruntled employees to shut them up. And that was definitely information we needed to know. Whether or not this new panel would punish them appropriately, at least the public would know what was going on. And in fact, maybe it wouldn't go on at all if there actually is this system in place to keep an eye on judges. So I'm not sure it's perfect, but it's better than what we have. And I would certainly encourage a yes vote on that. And people who need to find out about the judges, you can go in the Blue Book, you can find out some ratings, you can dig further online.
Okay. And if you go to pbs12.org, you can, in our election page, you will see a list of previous discussions that we have had about some of the various ballot measures going back into August. So we have now 10 different discussions for you to check out as you use this weekend to carve your pumpkins and stay inside with the rain and fill out your ballots. Thanks for watching this ballot discussion. The Colorado Inside Out team will tackle one measure every week right up until Election Day. Don't miss an episode so that you're all educated to vote on or before November the 5th.